Welcome to the holidays and the brew with Paulina. So today, what can investors expect from the stock market in 2025? Will the Fed's policy change with a new administration? And the third topic, TikTok. Will it get banned or not under the Trump administration? Let's look at these and more on the brew.
Good morning.
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 Oh, yeah.
Much more music to come in the new year.
I can't wait. I love it. I think there's another one coming. I always get lost on that one. So, Paulina, welcome. Hello. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. All that kind of good stuff. It's actually Friday. Sort of. Yeah. How you doing?
Great. I'm ready for Christmas.
Okay, good.
And I'm ready to open some presents.
Awesome. Me too. So I love the holiday week. It's my favorite part of the year. It starts on the Monday of Thanksgiving every year for me. Okay. And then it's just a bender
10 years
through the new year, all the way through. So I'm in seasonal form right now for benders. So yeah, none of this BS of not drinking on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's out the window until after the new year.
I like it.
Yeah. Anywho,
very French of you.
Very French of me. So we're not going to do a long one today. We're going to just kind of go easy because it's the holiday week. But we do want to get Paulina's outlook on the stock market in 2025. Let's start there. What do you say, Paulina?
Yeah, I think we kind of got a little spoiled as investors over the past few years with these outsized gains from the market. Coming into 2025, I don't think we're going to be expecting as outsized gains as we had in the previous few years. So investors should expect the market to have moderate gains. And there's a couple reasons for this. There's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to how the economy is going to perform and how monetary policy is going to perform as well. So different analysts on the street, they're projecting that the S&P can rise around 6,500 to 7,000 by the end of 2025. And that would represent roughly a 9% to 10% gain, which is still a lot, including dividends. That would mean that for the third consecutive year, there's been gains for the S&P, but that is, a far cry from the previous years when we saw 20% plus gains. So in terms of the broader market, that is what should be expected.
Okay. So what do you think? What are some of the factors that contribute? Does interest rates play in that assessment at all? Among some other things, what do you think?
Definitely, interest rates, huge, inflation, as we mentioned, economic growth. It depends. Obviously, the stock market and the economy are not one and the same, but they do work together. So when there's economic growth, that means businesses make more money. That means their earnings are positive, and that means their stocks go up. So we might not see the magnitude of growth that we saw in previous years, which could, impact ultimately, the stock market performance. But to your point, interest rates are a very important factor. And inflation, they work hand in hand. So inflation, that obviously that's come down over the past 2 years, but that's projected to go above the Fed's 2% target. So that could put a dent on things. So interest rates, inflation, and economic uncertainty, those are the three risk factors for this year.
Okay. Hey, Mal, how do you feel about the stock market in 2025? Any thoughts? I'm not a predictor, so I'm not good at this. So I always want to say it goes up all the time, but
it might cross politically as well. I think there's, someone in office who's likes to keep the energy flowing and hopefully brings a lot of businesses back to the United States. We see some major moves happening with Canada, which is wild. So he's I think people are pretty bullish as far as the outlook, and I'm positive as well. So I would say that.
Yeah, I think I'm positive. I don't know how positive I am, but I can't say 20%, 10%. I think I'm definitely positive though. So, but maybe to Paulina's number, maybe that 10% ish, and we'll do a little of this along the way and find our feet. There's a lot of things that could happen too, though, right? So there's so much new technology being discovered, and I always found that technology, once we got to that technological age, it could pull you out of really bad recessions from time to time, right? So just the sheer fact of it, right? So there's all kinds of stuff that is on the brink of really exploding, and we know AI is one of them for sure, right? I mean, I shouldn't even say that it's already exploded, but it could still just mushroom.
And that new quantum willow chip, which is on the forefront. So when quantum computation comes out and it's here, and it starts to scale efficiently, where people can rent things like D-Wave and have access to it. I think it might affect trades as well. I mean, the scenario tools using quantum would be unbelievable. But then, what are the downsides? You also have major corporations being possibly, and this is probably down the road, major corporations being hit by cryptography issues with quantum computing. So that's how are they going to be affected? So I absolutely agree. And it's just speeding up. I mean, it's not slowing down. So
right. No, I agree. All right. Kind of dovetailing into the next topic, which is the Federal Reserve's policy outlook for 2025. So we know that Paul came out and said something last Fed meeting, right, about maybe they're not going to be as aggressive as the public thought, which caused this massive sell-off, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on with them, Paulina, from your angle?
Yeah, so at the Fed's policy meeting last week, Fed Chair Powell said that from here there's going to be a new phase, and the Fed's going to be more cautious about further rate cuts. So during that time, the stocks sold off because the Fed, they revised their interest rate cuts in 2025. Their original projection was 4 rate cuts for the year. That went down to only 2 rate cuts. I think 2 quarter-point cuts for 2025.
Right.
So that means they're going to be more cautious around interest rate and their monetary policy. So that's obviously a negative for investors because they like cheaper, like a cheaper environment. So there are a few reasons for that, and happy to briefly dive into them.
Yeah, well, let's do that right away then. So why the change in policy, would you think? I mean, what's the reason? I think they've been using that to fight inflation, right? So are they saying that that's not an issue anymore, or is it something else?
So there has been a lot of progress on inflation. It has come down closer to the Fed's 2% target, which has allowed the Fed to ease its monetary policy stance. And that's why it changed its projection on the magnitude of the rate cuts. So the Fed, they now view that the risk for inflation, it's pretty balanced. The other mandate, of course, in addition to keeping inflation at 2%, is unemployment and keeping that at a reasonable level. So unemployment still remains an elevated risk for the Fed. So they're going to shift their policies accordingly, but that does seem like it means that fewer rate cuts for next year.
Yeah. Okay. From the left coast, Molly Morse.
I know. Let me just.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that President, can't dismiss the chair of the Fed before their term is
what is that about? I didn't actually know that. I didn't know that either, actually. So what's going on there? Is that like a lifetime position, like a judge or something?
No. So like when you, I think this is probably its own show we should do, but you want to look at the resumes of the people in the Fed, and there's a lot of, you'll see Simon and Cromwell. So you'll see ex-vets from there, and they have a lot of banking clients and a lot of so you have this sort of a governing body shouldn't be compromised in the sense that if these guys are looking to either get employed or still, indirectly with a legal firm like Simon and Cromwell, but they're governing in the protection of all of us, is it clean?
Right.
And so if it's not, how does that get regulated by the people, since it's there for our benefit? And I think it's coming to light that the president does not have authority to dismiss the chair of the Fed before their term, and in which case, can then the Fed act as a constriction to, improving the economy if politically they don't see eye to eye? I would say that is something to look at.
Right. Interesting. Okay. How long is the term, by the way?
That's a good question. Let me look it up.
We're ChatGPTing right now.
We are.
Do you know, Paulina?
Transhumanism.
I'm not
at
sure.
its best, right here.
What's that, Paulina? Sorry.
No, I wasn't sure, but I do know he's not the chair of the Fed isn't democratically elected like public office officials are. So the rules are a little bit different for the central bank, I guess.
Right. So he goes through February of 2026 is what I got. Did you see the same thing?
Yeah.
So that, by the way, that was the reappointment. He was reappointed by Biden for a second term. Began on the February 5th of 2022, and will go through February 4th of 2026.
So
that's a 4-year day. Okay, so they get to serve 4 and 4 like the presidents do.
Right. So if that's a crossover, and that's a huge, break to put on pushing forward the economy, that's something big to watch. And I think that came out when Jerome announced he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's when people started figuring out, which is a great thing because transparency is always healthy. So let's figure out how the system works. Yeah.
Right. No, that's good. Okay, cool. I like it. Let's move to TikTok. So will TikTok actually get banned, right? So what's going on here? Why does TikTok always get beaten up? Is it because it's Chinese? It's from China? Is that why? and they put a chip in my body and they're spying on me? What's going on with them?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So TikTok, this isn't anything new. It's been under regulatory scrutiny for years now, but it does face a potential ban on January 19th, 2025. So it could avoid that if the parent company ByteDance divests their ownership to non-Chinese companies. So the ban, though, it's not certain yet. There have been some recent developments, like a U.S. appeals court upheld a new law that required TikTok to be sold, or they would face prohibition. Biden, he signed a ban into law in April of earlier this year, but TikTok, of course, plans to contest the ruling before the Supreme Court. So TikTok, of course, has been widely considered to be some sort of Chinese spyware that's spying on Americans. They have access to all of our data and essentially can read our minds through their algorithm. It's just such an addictive platform. And obviously the content that's being fed to the US is a lot different than the content on TikTok being fed to Chinese consumers.
That's a big deal. So yeah, you are what you eat. And if you're eating knowledge, and then China gets, the Moonlight Sonata, done in 14 different ways, and we're getting, the latest leg warmers in California, then intelligence goes one way or the other. Right.
Yeah. Well, so, that's the primary concern there, and why they want to ban it in the US.
Details. My goodness. Okay.
So they collect a lot to the user data, location,
I love TikTok,
contacts, browser history, because you're good at it.
No, because I now
you, Lex.
No, I don't even have a good following yet. We're working on that though. Yeah, I have a bet with Molly that if she gets me to a certain following on TikTok, we're gonna do fun things. So right. So that's the goal.
On game on.
But I do like TikTok because you know why? My attention span's about 30 seconds. I'm like a child. Okay, I'm like a little infant. In TikTok, everything's 30 seconds or a minute at the most, right? So I love that. And it's all visual. I get it. I know why people like it. It's so much fun, right? So I'm in. The other nice, interesting little story, this has nothing to do with anything other than TikTok. is one of my contemporaries in the trading business. He is the head of Susquehanna.
Wow.
He owns a major stake in TikTok. So he was one of the original investors way back when.
Okay.
And I just read about him in Forbes, the 400 richest people. He's in the top, I'd say 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Based on his investment in TikTok.
Well, it's among other things. I mean, the Susquehanna business is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I read it and it was like $49 billion he's worth. Okay. Something goofy like that, right around there, 50 billion. And they said in the little article, little blurb about him, they miscalculated his net worth. They've got access to some tax documents of his somehow, all legal. And they realized that they had undervalued his net worth to a factor of, half. So they doubled it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
50 billion. Do you know what I'd do with 50 billion?
What?
I'd buy you each a plane. So you can
okay, done.
You guys
I'm getting my pilot's license. So I know exactly the one I want, Lex.
Yeah. How about those apples? No, I give a lot to charity.
I bet you do. You're a good human being.
I would do that. So okay, so should we be scared of this, Paulina, this TikTok thing? What the hell's going on with those Chinese?
I mean, when it's
scary or not so scary? I don't know if I'm scared yet. I could be though.
Yeah, there's two sides of the argument, right? I think that the U.S. wants to ban TikTok because it wants to prioritize U.S. companies like Meta, who has obviously Instagram, Facebook, which would be a huge beneficiary if TikTok were to be banned. Google's YouTube would be another beneficiary. Snapchat, another prime beneficiary. So, and of course, we recently saw Mark Zuckerberg donate $1 million to Trump's campaign. So he definitely wants to have some influence there.
Yeah.
So I think it's mostly about competition, and from the U.S. company perspective, from a U.S. national security perspective, it could be that China has too much access to U.S. data.
Okay, interesting.
There's a really great scene in the movie Ex Machina. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Ex Machina. Incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible movie. And it's about AI. And they invite this kid over to, one of your friends who owns an entire section of the planet Earth. And there's a little, think tank. And he has one AI, he has one robot actually. And so they bring this kid in to test the Turing test to see if you can tell if it's human or not. And in that, there's a scene there that he picks up the brain and says, when the search engines came out, it was a lot of like gathering of information about what people were thinking. But what you start to understand why this is so important is when you start to understand how someone thinks, it becomes a battle of the minds. And then when you can feed masses, a type of programming, there's neurons are often created, but they actually atrophy if not used within, I think, a 12-day period or something. Don't quote me on the time period, but it's fairly short. And so if you're just thumb scrolling on dumb stuff that does not engage your mind, it will alter the intelligence of a country. And so there's different layers of this. Sure, companies will lose a whole marketing arm. A lot of, people will be put out of business that rely on sales there, et cetera. But what gets underneath is this real battle of the minds and how you spend your time and what are you ingesting and how are you using this thing?
Yeah. The noodle, how we use the noodle. Yeah. I like it. You know what else I like? I like freedom of speech. I like freedom of speech. I'm just saying.
Oh,
what do you think about that?
I do love freedom.
I don't like when we went down that path with all these social media platforms. I know we're talking about social media now, but anyway, I don't like when we went down the whole that's misinformation. Who gives a shit if it's misinformation? Let people say what they want to say. Who cares? I don't care if you're left or right. Just say what you want to say. Let people decide whether it's misinformation. Why do we have to protect people so hard?
Yeah, once you legislate one tiny thing, it's a slippery slope, and it creates legal precedents to just go with throw the rest of free speech out of the window. So yeah,
come on. Everyone lies. Everyone tells the truth. It's just
right.
It's baloney, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I want to hear someone say the Earth is flat. I want to hear that again. Oh yeah, God damn it, it's not flat. I can prove it to you.
But don't do that in a jacuzzi because it'll just go on for hours. Like make sure that conversation happens in the morning, not a jacuzzi.
Yeah. See, Paulina's too young. She's impressionable still. We gotta protect her. We gotta protect her.
I love having like out of the box conversations. I am very open minded when it comes to different theories. I don't shut people down when they want to like have an open conversation about if the Earth is flat. I know a lot of people, particularly the highly educated, they are fixed in their ways.
Oh yeah, and very.
But I'm very I love these debates.
Yeah, no, I like them too, and I like it better when we let's say COVID, for instance, real quick. Yeah. We didn't know what the hell COVID was all about. I was scared. I didn't know. I masked up. I had the hazmat suit. I didn't know. But once you do know, and you look back and you say, that was ridiculous what we did.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in the midst of it, I get it. Everyone's scared. People are dying. You have no idea what the hell this is. You play it safe a little bit. But once you learn and you know, and for people to say, oh no, even though I know, you still got to wear that stupid mask and you still got to social distance. That's when I think it's ridiculous. That's when I think it's stupid and people are trying to control you, a la TikTok. And
right.
when I get upset about it, I think that's ridiculous. So anywho, okay, enough of this.
I 100% agree with you. And that was very bold to say. And I think, just basic information could have been fed out. So what is the, RO, I think it's pronounced R not, but what is the reproduction rate? So the more something reproduces, the less, scary it is because like Ebola, it'll just kill. And so the person that it's going to come in contact with, so it can't spread. So conversely, if it's easily spreadable, it becomes, and then of course, there's going to be a permanent, things that happen from it, et cetera. And you can go down that path and you can go to cytokine blasts and go dig in. But that tool could have been used for real education on what viruses are. So I will agree with Lex, yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to go here because, I got to be honest. It's time for party time. And the other thing, too, is when you travel, one of the no-nos is wearing cargo pants. So don't do that because the TSA will look at you differently because of the pockets. I just learned that just now.
No way.
Yeah. And the other one is don't pack wrapped gifts. No bueno.
Okay.
Yeah, no bueno. There's 8 little steps or 8 little secrets to getting through TSA fast.
Okay.
Obviously, the liquid thing is easy. That's an easy one. 3.4 ounces, yada, yada.
Okay.
But those two I didn't know about, the cargo pants and the wrapped gifts when you travel. Wrap them when you get there.
Yeah, and don't have a crazy look in your eye. So just
I always go crazy. I'm like,
stay calm. All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, Paulina, have a great Christmas.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
You already had a great Christmas. Molly,
happy holidays.
You're way back on the West Coast, and we haven't got Christmas for you yet.
You're right.
So, all right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you in the new year.
All right, bye, everyone.
All right, bye.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.